everybody, and welcome back to another hot episode of a very special podcast. This is the podcast in which we talk about all your favorite TV series from yesteryear, and then discuss it over a glass of wine. I'm your boy, Patrick M. Dunn, and I'm joined here, as always, by my Queen of Christmas, Kat Halstead, the author. Welcome back, girl, WB.
Thank you.
We're just getting so close to Christmas now, we can feel it.
Feel the magic in the air. As the Christmas carols blast on the car radio, as you sit and watch a Christmas movie while drinking a hot Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, with lemon. You put a lemon in it.
Gosh dang it, I went to Walmart today and I forgot to get a lemon.
Maybe I'll head to the store today, I'll get a Dr. Pepper. What do you, like, boil it? Or you just, like, throw it in the microwave? Like, what did you do? What's the rules?
Okay, so, hot Dr. Pepper. It's just literally Dr. Pepper, like, heated up. So, of course, the recipe's from the 60s, so they're like, heat it on the stove. I put mine in the microwave for like maybe 40 seconds because I only did a little bit because I was like, if this is disgusting, I'm not going to drink the whole thing. You're supposed to have a slice of lemon and you put the lemon in like the bottom of the mug or whatever and then pour the hot Dr. Pepper over it. So I heated up some Dr. Pepper last night and I watched a Christmas movie. I actually did it during the second movie I watched, which wasn't this one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it was actually quite enjoyable. It was like, right now I have a Dr. Pepper that's cold. It's got ice. You know, that crisp, like fruity flavor that Dr. Pepper has. It's a little spicier when it's hot.
You know what? I'm intrigued. I'm like wildly intrigued by this. I don't know. I also, like, I have this vision of, like, Dennis the Menace mom drinking, like, hot Dr. Pepper on Christmas Eve.
Oh, I could totally. Like, it's totally 100% the sort of thing Lisa would make for Oliver on Green Acres, and he'd be like, yeah, honey, no, let's not. It wasn't bad.
I can't even believe you didn't even, like, heat up a Dr. Pepper just for the special recording of today's movie edition. You didn't have time. You didn't have 40 seconds.
I need something cool to drink right now. I've already had coffee today. We are doing a Christmas classic musical. One of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. We are doing White Christmas, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, Vera-Ellen,
Dean Jeggers, who played the general.
Mary Wicks.
Yes. Shout out to Mary Wicks playing, like, the nosy innkeeper.
Yes, but did you not see my message? She's also Sister Mary Lazarus.
Yeah, and
from the Sister Act movies. And
she's also Miss Cathcart on the Dennis the Menace, like, TV series. She's like the
yes,
the neighbor who's, I don't know, like, into Dennis's grandpa for some reason. I don't know. She's like in a bunch of episodes. I think she's like the nosy neighbor too. I think that's like her typecast as like the nosy person who misunderstands everything.
Well, she played nuns in several movies too. Like, first she goes through this period where she's like the nosy housekeeper, like in White Christmas, and a couple of movies that starred Doris Day.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, she has her period where she's the nosy neighbor. And then she starts playing nuns. And, like, it blew my mind last night when I was like, wait, she's Sister Mary Lazarus? I just sat there like, OMG, like it flooded over me. Well, because like on her Wikipedia page, the picture used for her is a picture of her as a nun, but it's not from Sister Act. It's from one of the Trouble with Angels movies, late 60s, early 70s.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say she was like, I don't know, like the flying nun's villain, like another flying nun. I don't know. I just like thought you were going that route for some reason.
No, and I'm just like, this was before I realized who she'd been in, that she'd been in Sister Act. I'm like, okay, I know she's been in like tons of stuff. I know she's like one of those women. And then like when I got to that part, I was like, I feel so ridiculous for not realizing this.
You should be ashamed. All right. So White Christmas was released on October 14th, 1954. Where were you? Not born. I don't know. My parents weren't even born yet. They were dirty thoughts at this point in time.
My mom was born. My dad was not.
I gathered some fun things that happened. Do you want to hear some films / shorts that were also released this month in October of 1954.
What else was at the box office?
All right. We're going to start off with The Human Jungle. You familiar with The Human Jungle?
I do not recall this title.
All right. This was a film noir. It starred Gary Merrill, who you may know as a one-time married to gal pal Betty Davis.
Okay.
And this was a movie about a police officer who is under pressure to clean up the streets of his crime-ridden city.
Okie doke.
And I don't know, I guess he runs into lots of things. Lots of obstacles along the way. He can't quite get the job done easily. He thought it was going to be like, I'll have this cleaned up by the weekend wraps up. And,
I'm sure he ran into a lot of rebels without causes.
yeah, and maybe I don't know, maybe there was a temptress in it. A temptress who, starting to go the wrong way. Maybe she has a boyfriend who's a gangster. And he wants to pull her back onto the right side of the tracks, but it's the only life she knows.
What else was released?
All right. Shot in the Frontier. Do you know this?
No.
This was a Three Stooges short, actually. This one features Shemp in lieu of Curly, and it's a parody of the 1952 Western movie High Noon. So this is set in the Old West. The Stooges must defend their honor against the Noonan brothers, who are three desperados who want to marry the same girls the Stooges are trying to court.
Okay.
You just got three gals with feathers in their hats, probably doing a line dance in the Old West. At one of those saloons. You know those saloon girls?
Yes.
Just picture one of those. There's a piano playing. They're doing a little line kick, and I know in comes the Noonan brothers, but the Stooges were there first, and I don't know, they poke each other's eyes out and stuff, and I don't know, someone gets hit in the face with a ladder, probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you ready to go on a trip to Haiti? You ready to go up to the Caribbean?
Okay.
Also released this month is The Golden Mistress. This one sounds exciting. This is an adventure flick about two expatriates who use a mysterious idol to search for treasure.
Okay.
I think the mysterious idol is actually called the Golden Mistress for some reason. I don't know. You know what? I saw the poster and I was like, this looks stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't sound maybe it's something if you hit it at the right moment, you can get sucked into it on TMC on a good afternoon, but...
You mean TCM?
TCM, whatever it is.
Hosted by, Ben Mankiewicz, maybe? He comes in with a hot intro. Yeah.
Whoever.
He's sitting in front of his library books, talking about the Golden Mistress. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm excited for this one. We're finally getting into, familiar territory. You ready?
Okay.
All right, this is a cartoon. Booze and Arrows. Do you have any guess what it could be?
I feel like this involves Bugs Bunny.
No, it doesn't, actually. It's another cartoon. It's a cartoon we know fairly well. It was a movie at one point in time that starred a heartthrob from the 90s.
Oh, Casper.
Yeah, this is a Casper the Friendly Ghost short. In Booze and Arrows, he helps his Native American pal Littlefeather go hunting.
Ooh.
You know what? I could already see how this goes. It's the first minute is Casper trying to befriend people. And then they all run away scared, and then he finds Littlefeather, who's a young little kid, and he's naive, and he doesn't realize that his new best friend is a ghost, and he just lets him come along.
Oh my god, ooh.
Isn't that how they all usually go?
It's on YouTube. You guys can find it on YouTube.
I got one more. You got room for one more? All right, this is wild.
Yes.
It's another short. It's a Looney Tunes short. It's called By Word of Mouse. And this stars Hans, a mouse from Germany, who comes to America to visit his cousin Willie and learns about the wonders of the capitalist system and the free market.
Okay.
This also stars our boy Sylvester the Cat. I guess he has an appearance in it. But I'm just wait, there's Looney Tunes shorts about Germans coming to America to learn about a capitalist nation? What? What? All right. So that's everything I got for October 1954. On a scale out of 1 out of 5 mysterious idols, how many mysterious idols would you give this month of cinema and, I don't know, shorts before the cinema starts?
I'm very concerned. I feel like this is not... I want to give this a 1.
Yeah, you know what? I was I'd probably watch By Word of Mouse just to see what it's all about. And I don't know, maybe The Human Jungle, who knows? Or maybe The Golden Mistress, but you know what? I'm not going to go seek them out.
Me Googling that cartoon is about as far as I'm going.
Yeah, I just want to look at the screen grab, see what the screen grab is. Maybe it's a picture of Casper floating over a tree or something.
It's not good what I saw.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 1 also. You know what? If I'm gonna be running out to a movie this month, it's probably gonna be White Christmas, and then I'll save the rest of my 10 cents So maybe November. Maybe you get a fun November movie.
I wonder, how much did a movie ticket cost in 1954?
I feel like 10 cents was too much. I feel I just like overshot it right there. I feel like we're like looking at a nickel, right?
49 cents.
What's that worth today? What's 49 cents worth today in 2020 cash?
$1 in 1954 is equivalent in purchase power to about $9.68 in 2020.
Okay, so if a movie ticket costs 49 cents, we're looking at like what, like $4.50 to go see a movie?
I wish.
All right, yeah, that ain't happening unless it's like Senior Citizen Tuesday or something, and you're over the age of 65 with proper identification.
Yeah, like you still can't get into a movie that cheap.
You know what? I even think like Senior Citizen Tuesday, it's like $8. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, it's still like, okay, because you know me, when theaters are open and you're not locked down or in quarantine, and you can go to a movie.
She's there watching Jumanji over and over again.
You know, because there's something wrong with me. But like, you know, you go onto the Fandango app, because it's easy to pick your seat and stuff.
Yeah, you pick yourself like a middle row, like a nice middle row, right? Where do you go? Like 6th or 7th row, maybe?
Oh, totally. Like, you go middle of the theater. Okay, I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna look up a matinee, first matinee I see, a Tuesday. Even with just like, it's a discount day, the lowest price is $6.38.
They're still finding a way to rip us off.
And these aren't even brand new movies.
Like, what's in theaters right now? Like A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Toy Story and Elf.
All right. Before we get into White Christmas, I got some fun facts about the stars. Do you want to talk about the stars of White Christmas? All right. We're going to start off. I want to start off with our favorite crooner, our boy toy, Bing Crosby. You ready? You sitting down? He was born Harry Crosby Jr., and he was considered one of America's first multimedia stars. He spanned a career in film, music, radio, and comedy. By the time of his death in 1977, he had appeared in over 70 feature films and recorded over 1,600 songs. Ooga. When did he have time to sleep?
He was an alcoholic, wasn't he?
As he said, he was an alcoholic in his youth, but however, at one point in time, he was able to get it under control. He did become an avid smoker of marijuana. So in 1977, just shortly before his death, he was interviewed by Barbara Walters, and he told our girl Barbara that he thinks marijuana should be legalized. So ooga.
Hold up, Bing Crosby was a stoner.
Yes, the original stoner, chuckling in his bedroom like Beavis and Butthead style.
Wow. Okay.
In 1999, the FBI released some documents about Crosby, linking him to the mob. So, you know, at one point, his life was at stake many times for not paying up on his gambling debts. Documents reveal that he had to go to Frank Sinatra to ask for money to avoid being killed. Like, he just showed up at old Blue Eyes house one day.
I was waiting for Sinatra to get involved once you said the mob.
Sinatra, I think, was notably known for having mob ties, but I think Crosby tried to hide it, but the FBI had a whole dossier on it. Hot dossier that they dropped in 1999.
I mean, of course the FBI did. They're the FBI freaking I.
They know all.
They've got a dossier on everyone.
So Crosby had several children. I think he had 2 wives, so he had 2 sets of kids. A stipulation in his will wrote that none of his children would receive proceeds from their trust fund until they reached the age of 65. Whoa.
Wow.
Anyway, 2 of his children, Lindsay and Dennis, they died in 1988 and 1991 respectively. They both died by suicide by shotgun to the head. And they were younger than 65.
That feels like a conspiracy corner.
Conspiracy corner. Yeah, I need to look into that more. Then in September of 1977, about a month-ish before Crosby's death, he reunited with Rosemary Clooney for a British tour. In that time, he also recorded his final album. And then on October 14th, he flew to Spain with some of his boys for a round of golf. And after they were done golfing, they decided to head back to the clubhouse to hang out and stuff. And he collapsed and died on the greens.
They just flew to Spain for golf.
Yeah, I mean, I bet some of his homies were there, some of his chums just chilling. He's like, hey, we're outside Barcelona right now.
I love the ridiculous things wealthy celebrities do.
Oh yeah, I love it. I stand. All right, you want to go into Clooney Corner? You want to do a quick Clooney Corner?
Yes.
You may know her. She was a prominent singer and actress, known for old-timey jams such as Mambo Italiano, Bacia Me, and This Old House, to name a few. Rosemary Clooney's first recordings were released in 1946. She sang with Tony Pastor's big band until 1949. You may know Tony Pastor. He was a known novelty singer of the time, but I guess he also had a big band too. Who knew? Rosemary Clooney's first big hit was Come On to My House, a song which she actually hated. She despised the song. But Columbia Records forced her to record it. They said if not, it would be violating her contract. So she's like, all right, fine. She just rolled into the studio one day, belted it out, and I don't know, they pressed it onto wax and played it out at like the local radio station, and everyone was doing the hop to it.
Come on to my house, my house.
In 1956, following the success of White Christmas, she had a syndicated variety series on television, The Rosemary Clooney Show, which moved to NBC in its second year. I think it was on for a few years. Got a few hot seasons.
Okay.
She's also famously known as the aunt of George Clooney. She even guest starred on several episodes of ER. In fact, she's in the third episode of the series.
Yes.
It's the one where Carol returns to work following her suicide attempt. That took place in the pilot episode. And then she also appears again in the Christmas episode of season 1. And she actually sings Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So, yeah, good for her. You want to just finish off the main cast? I got a Kaye corner and a Vera-Ellen vignette.
Give me some Danny Kaye facts.
All right. He starred in 17 movies total, including The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and a musical based around the works of Hans Christian Andersen, just called Hans Christian Andersen. He was also the first ambassador at large of UNICEF in 1954, right around the time this movie was released.
Okay.
And my hot favorite fun fact, during the 1952 presidential election, he was a supporter of Democrat Adlai Stevenson, a.k.a. Sizzlin' for Stevenson, call back to our Happy Days episode. He was a Stevenson Sizzler, which is our, like, imaginary Bernie bros. Like Bernie burners, or whatever they are.
Yeah.
This one's funny. This is a funny one. On January 18th, 2013, during a 24-hour salute to Danny Kaye on TCM, in celebration of what TCM thought was his 100th birthday, Kaye's daughter, like after the whole thing went on, Kaye's daughter, Dina, revealed to TCM host Ben Mankiewicz that they got the birth date wrong, that Kaye was actually born in 1911, not 1913.
Oh!
So, they did this whole...
Oh my gosh.
I love it. So great.
Yeah, it's like, so, my father was actually born this year, not that. Here's a photocopy of his birth certificate.
I want to read that fax that went into TCM that day. And I got one more fact on our boy Danny Kaye. In 1992, author Donald Spoto, he released a biography on actor Laurence Olivier. And it revealed that Laurence and Danny Kaye had a secret 10-year affair. What?
Wasn't Sir Laurence Olivier married to Vivian Leigh? I mean, not that that means anything, but still.
People have since said that there's no evidence. So, but where do you get evidence of that? Like, is there a photo? Like what?
There has to be, like, letters or something.
Yeah, maybe like a telegram. You ready for Vera-Ellen? You ready for a fun Vera-Ellen vignette?
Yes.
She was known for being a dancer and has danced on the screen with Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly. And then, in many of her films, her singing performances are often dubbed by other singers, including this movie. In 1959, all of a sudden, she just like retired from show business altogether and like never appeared in anything ever again. You know what? Fuck it. She's like, I'm out. Anything I'm missing? Anything you feel that I left out?
I think you got it.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to get into the wild world of White Christmas presented in VistaVision?
Okay.
And Technicolor?
So, you know what is fun? I was reading last night that because of the way they filmed VistaVision, the movies that are in VistaVision are actually some of the easiest to convert to HD.
Yes, because I guess it's like I think like North by Northwest is another one. So when they like convert it to HD high def, it looks real. There's a handful of movies they shot in VistaVision, and they still even shoot movies like today in VistaVision. It started with Star Wars in 1977. George Lucas revived the format because it paired well with special effects processors.
Yeah.
They just basically took the old cameras and modified them. Some other hot movies that were filmed in VistaVision in modern times, and well, from 1977 on, are Star Trek the Motion Picture, Tron, Back to the Future, RoboCop, that whole like Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, all those were shot in new VistaVision, Too Fast, Too Furious, Inception, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and the most recent film to use VistaVision was 2014, and that was Interstellar. With, was it McConaughey who's in that? Is that it?
Maybe. I don't honestly remember.
Isn't it the one where, like, McConaughey goes to space? He, like, flies to space and...
I think so.
Travels the universe in search for...
I don't know.
Mysterious treasure. It's really a sequel to, The Golden Mistress, but it's in space. The Golden Mistress in space.
Yeah.
All right. Our movie opens, and it's 1944, Christmas Eve. We're overseas.
Yeah, we're somewhere in Europe. World War II is raging on.
Yeah, they're in, like, a torn-up city. So I'm assuming in the days leading up to Christmas, they went into battle. They destroyed the city. They decided to set up camp, like, nearby or, like, in, like, a town square or something. And then just, like, move dead bodies out of the way? Like, what's the deal here?
It is an area that has definitely been bombed very recently. You could probably still smell it in the air, kind of thing. I'm going to hope that this town evacuated before anything happened.
Oh, like they heard the sirens, the air raid sirens coming in, and they all ran out. All the townsfolk ran out.
Yeah, like the people who were still in town, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, that people kind of like got the hell out of Dodge when they found out the Nazis were getting closer.
Yeah.
But it's Christmas Eve. This army company is very lucky because they have a Broadway star among them, Bob Wallace, played by the one, the only, Bing Crosby, and he and a couple of guys put together a show.
Yeah, I feel like that's what he's good for. You know what? Like, maybe he sucks at war, like he's not good at the military, but he probably, like, brings his A game when it comes to, like, entertaining the boys, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I'm assuming World War II, like, you know, Bob Hope ain't going over to sing for the troops yet. Like, that ain't happening, right?
Probably not.
Do they do US shows? Like, when did they start doing those? I honestly don't even know.
I don't know. I feel like during World War II, and I could be wrong, the USO was more like home-based, and they were like hosting the dances when the guys were back or right before they shipped out kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I saw it on Mrs. Maisel, because I think she goes to, like, a base in, like, New York City or something, like outside New York City.
Maybe they're, like, entertaining the troops at home before they go over, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of like a world I don't really know about, and I feel like I should know.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to dig up like a Bob Hope special and, like, see, like, where it is. It's like, live from Trenton, New Jersey, Bob Hope presents A Night for the Troops.
Ooh, there's like a whole page on the USO website about World War II.
Oh, okay, let's hear it. Let's do a little history lesson.
Well, it's 13 things you probably didn't know about the USO during World War II. They had clubs everywhere.
So specific.
There were roughly 3,000 USO clubs worldwide during World War II.
So they literally were everywhere.
Today, the USO has about 160 locations. Some USO locations had boxing rings and punching bags. USO snack bars sold cigarettes to troops but didn't sell liquor. Today, alcohol and tobacco are forbidden, but all snacks at US locations are free to troops and their families. Stars of the stage and screen weren't just entertainers back in the 1940s. They'd also bring you coffee and a donut. At New York City's famed USO Stage Door Canteen, troops could meet the stars of the day, watch them perform, and even be waited on by them. At the USO Hollywood Canteen, some stars work shifts in the anonymity of the kitchen.
Could you see, like, someone today doing that? Could you see, like, Drew Barrymore walk around, like, delivering, like, Dunkin' Donuts to people, or, like...
There are a few stars that I could see doing it, but it's not like, I don't see Brad Pitt doing it.
You know what? I feel like they'd only do it...
Like, I could see Jennifer Aniston doing it, like, once a month. You're definitely not seeing Tom Cruise.
I feel like it's more of a photo op now, though. Like, it's like, you know what? We gotta get, like, a hot video of, like, I don't know, Drew Barrymore coming up with a venti mocha latte.
Okay, I could totally see, like, a Jennifer Aniston doing something. Like, maybe once a month she goes in and does something, but she does it, like, in the back where she does her thing.
Okay.
She's not in it for, like, the fame or whatever, like, the publicity. And maybe on the holidays, she comes out and greets some guy. You know what I mean?
Do you think she pre-screens, like who she gets to serve to? Like, she needs, like, resumes? Like, you know what?
But, like, if a Brad Pitt dropped by, he'd be like, I need to screen, like, I can only meet, like, 3 people.
Yeah, they have to be uglier than me.
But I feel like, you know who's doing stuff like that? Who would be the ones doing stuff like that? Not, like, the big movie stars. You know, it's maybe someone who's on their first season of a TV show.
Like, I don't know, like, the cast of The Neighborhood on CBS maybe is doing it.
Yeah, even though it's, like, 3rd season.
Well, you know what? I feel like it's not like a hot hit. It's kind of like a modest hit, so they just want to get their names out there.
I would kind of say so because, like, you and I both just recently discovered this show.
I mean, I knew about it because I remember seeing previews for it when watching Big Brother, and I'm like, that looks horrible. And like now I'm like, I've seen almost every episode. I'm like almost caught up.
The only episodes I haven't seen are the ones that start airing tonight.
Okay, so like you're like literally caught up. You know more about it than I do.
That's who I feel like is doing more of this. Like the people on Hallmark or people in a smaller like show, like they might, you know, it's gonna be your supporting actors on like a sitcom, like a hit sitcom.
Like Kat Dennings.
That are doing stuff. Is she on a sitcom right now?
I have no idea. What do I know?
I don't know. Like that's just the thought I have. It's not going to be like your big names. It's not going to be. It's, you know who it's definitely not. It's not the ones out there spouting off on Twitter all the time. Not Alyssa Milano.
I have a hot question for you.
Okay.
Do you think like Dream Man would be a perfect candidate for one of these USO bros?
Oh yeah, he totally does stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe he like does stomach crunches with the troops. He's out there doing like comparing abs with them.
You know what? He would totally be like with the canine department.
Oh yeah. You know, because like the boys just want to see some doggies, right? They just want to see some pooches.
Exactly.
And then comes Dream Man with all his dogs. Tito is like jumping on a trampoline, maybe. Am I allowed to say the dog's name?
You can say one dog name.
All right, just Tito. I feel like that's not enough information for some people. I feel like it's still like a quest.
I feel like you would actually have to really follow me on social media to figure it out.
You know what? I think it took me a long time to like figure out who Tito was. So you know what? Maybe we'll put a fun video of Tito online just so you can like see what Tito is or who Tito is. Not what. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I didn't mean to call a dog a thing. All right. Yeah. So it's World War II. I guess we don't have a USO show in whatever country this is, and it's Christmas Eve, but our boy...
Yeah, because USO tours in World War II were dangerous. 37 USO entertainers died during World War II.
What, do we have like a name? Like, what's the hottest name?
The most famous entertainer who didn't make it back was legendary big band leader and then Army Major Glenn Miller.
Whoa, like Boy the Way Glenn Miller played? Songs that made the hit parade? Like that guy?
Yes, whose plane disappeared over the English Channel on the way to France. I did not know that.
Like, was it shot down or did it just like run out of gas or something? Do we know?
It disappeared.
It's like a Amelia Earhart situation. You know what?
Yeah.
We need to get Jill from Red, White, and Mystery Stories to put together an episode of whatever happened to Glenn Miller. Jill will get to the bottom of it. She's got her magnifying glass and her Sherlock cap. Mm-hmm. Does he wear a robe? I feel like a houndstooth robe, maybe. I feel like that's what he wears, right?
I don't know.
So, USO, 1944, Christmas Eve. Non-existent tonight. Non-existent. So our boy, what's his name again? Ben? In this movie? I forget.
Bob Wallace.
He's one of those guys. He just likes to do something for the troops. You know what? He's probably not a good shot. He probably like sucks at shooting guns. You probably can't drive a tank.
To be fair, Glenn Miller apparently died like 9 days before this.
Do you think they know? Do you think they got like a memo from, I don't know, the major?
It probably like came out somewhere. Like
they got the newspaper. It's just like, big band leader.
Or it was like in a telegram.
He was probably supposed to be performing that night, you think? You think like tonight was the night he's going to do a big Christmas Eve show for the boys?
He's going to perform with Bob Wallace.
Yeah, they shipped in all the sets, like all the little like fake Christmas sets, so they're gonna...
There's no set. That's literally like just the bombed out town square.
Yeah, but they had like that poster they stood in front of that like made it kind of look like it was Christmas, like that little...
That was literally like supposed to be the town behind them.
Oh, was it? I thought that was...
That was the movie set.
No, I thought it was just like... I thought they put up like a curtain and like painted like something on it. Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
I need to look at it again. Well, you know what? It was in the plane. It was in Glenn Miller's plane. They had a fun little set. Like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Maybe like a North Pole set, like a candy cane, a Frosty. If Frosty was a thing, I don't know.
Oh my God, Patrick, you're getting so off track.
I'm sorry.
So Bob is performing. He's got a little number with this young guy played by Danny Kaye.
Young stud.
And was
Was Danny Kaye a somebody? Like, was he, like, not the actor, but like the character? Like, was he an up-and-comer, or is he like a new guy to this?
No, he was somebody who wanted to get into the business.
Okay.
But ended up in war.
Yeah, he was gonna try out for a night at the Iguana, but then the bomb dropped and he got called to duty. To duty. So the night of the Iguana had to wait.
They do. They've got a little song and dance they do. They got decent on-stage chemistry, you know. Bob's not thinking anything about this. He's just like, this is going to be a nice, good thing for, like, the guys, because, you know, it gets their mind off being away from home for Christmas. Bob does sing, excuse me, White Christmas. And this is a song that is originally from the Irving Berlin movie Holiday Inn, which also starred Bing Crosby.
And Fred Astaire, our boy Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire, yes.
And Hot Scoop, they actually, the movie, I think, was originally written for Bing and Fred, but Fred dropped out.
Yeah, it was. It was originally written for Bing and Fred, and then Fred was like, yeah, no, I'm retired. I'm good. And then they tried to get Donald O'Connor from Singing in the Rain, and he had to drop out due to health issues. So then they got Danny Kaye. So by the time they get Danny Kaye in, they were expecting Donald O'Connor, who was a dancer as well. They were going to pair him with Vera-Ellen, and there was going to be, like, he was going to be her partner in those dance numbers.
Danny Kaye's more of like a comedian, right? Like more of a wisecracker.
Yeah, he can do a little dancing, but he's no Fred Astaire, he's no Donald O'Connor. He even trips Vera-Ellen in the one dance they do together.
Who's like a hot dancer from Dancing with the Stars, like a known dancer, like one of the coaches?
Valentine or Max.
He needed Max's grandfather. Max's grandfather should have been there and taught him the ways. They didn't have time, so instead they decided to like rewrite the part and make it more of like a funny man role and like maybe a dancer.
Like they were able to, you know, keep most of the things going. For those dance numbers later on, they just brought in another dancer to pair with her instead of having him.
Kind of like distract the audience from like his crappy dancing, right?
And to be fair, Vera-Ellen was known more for her dancing.
Yeah, and they put her in these like distracting like yellow dresses that were flowy, so you kind of like your eyes are attached to that rather than Danny Kaye like tripping her, as you said, stepping on her tippy toes.
So back to World War II. It is Christmas Eve. Their general is being reassigned as of midnight. They're getting a new commander who is not going to let Bob Wallace put on a Christmas show.
Scruffy, gruffy looking guy, just looks angry. Like he's got RBF. He just comes in. He's all like, he like walks in like in the middle of the song, right? It's like the show's going on.
The general, yes, he walks in, but he tells like the private that sees him to shh and just sits down and enjoys Bob singing White Christmas. And then they realize he's there after the song, and they have this performance for him, specifically for him, because they really truly believe in him as their general, as their officer in command of them, and they want to show him that they respect him, and, you know, all that good stuff.
Did I read into this wrong? Is there a moment where like it's all silent and he's like just kind of looking ominously at the two performers, and then he just starts clapping? Did that happen, or did I just make that up in my mind?
I don't remember that.
I just like feel like there was a moment where they were like, "Oh God, we got caught.
No.
We got caught performing."
Oh, there might have been.
But then he had like a smile on his face, and he's like, "Merry Christmas, guys."
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, are we in trouble?" But he starts clapping. Yes, because he sent the general who's taking over the long way around because he didn't want that new guy to bust these guys.
So this guy's first night was like Christmas Eve, like the new guy in town, General Waverly.
No, okay. The guy who you're talking about, it's his last night.
Oh, okay. I thought it was his first night. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's his last night because they do the song about their general. What do you do with the general when he stops being a general?
All right,
and all that stuff.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I've talked about this on the podcast before. For some reason, whenever they have plot points in a musical, I tend to like not hear the lyrics, so like I never really know what's going on.
Oh my God.
Storyline wise, it's just one of those things. I don't know. That's why I kind of like struggled with this movie. Not gonna lie, it's like I don't know what's going on. What's going on? They like snow? What?
Oh my god.
The general leaves, I guess, right? He takes off. He hops in his little Jeep.
Yeah, so the general has to leave, and the new general's going to take over. And right about that time, this village gets attacked again.
Yeah, an air raid comes in or something. We don't really see, like, villains or anything. We just see, like, explosions and the remnants of the buildings are blowing up.
Yes. And there is a building that is about to fall on Bob, but Phil, played by Danny Kaye, gets him out of the way, but, like, it's hit in the shoulder with, like, a brick. Slight injury that he is going to milk for the rest of his life. So, Bob goes to visit Phil in the infirmary tent and visit him, be like, hey, thanks for that. That was real good. Thanks, kid. And he's like, if you ever need, a favor, let me know. And Phil is like, I got it. Yes, I'm in. And he basically convinces Bob through this injury to be his song and dance partner. And they start putting together shows. And then we get the newspaper spins.
Yeah, so, like, the first newspaper spins is just like, victory, war is over, the boys are coming home. And then we kind of, like, see the newspaper spins again. It's Variety magazine, and it just shows, like, their fun, illustrious career over the last 10 years. We see them on stage. We see them canoodling with stars. We see them on the road.
Yeah, you see them, you see them in, like, smaller, like, nightclub situations where they start, and it expands to, like, a Broadway theater kind of thing.
Yeah, it exponentially gets bigger over the decade. Mm-hmm. Where are they? Like, we come back to them in, like, New York City or something?
They are, now that the show has closed on Broadway, they are traveling with the show.
Tour now? They're a touring act?
Yeah, they're out on tour so that the show can go, like, hit all over the country. And they're in Florida. They just happen to be in town when the Haynes sisters are also in town. And the Haynes sisters had a brother who was in the same company, division, whatever it's called, with Bob and Phil.
I kind of remember a scene where, like, I don't know if I made this up again. I'm sorry. I feel like there's a scene, maybe they're in a train or something, I don't know, but they're like, Bob and Phil are like, man, we really need some ladies. Like, we need to pin ourselves down some ladies.
So they're in the Florida theater. They've just done their show. Phil is constantly trying to hook Bob up with a woman in the thought that they can slow down a little bit because Bob keeps them going because he's got nothing else going in his life. And there's times where Phil just wants to go play a freaking round of golf, but he can't because Bob keeps them going and going and going. So he thinks if Bob gets a wife, he'll slow down. So he tries to, like, hook him up with, like, these bimbo-y kind of girls that are in the company and stuff. And Bob's just like, yeah, no, they're not for him. Bob wants something else. He just hasn't, like, met that woman yet. Bob's like, well, we actually got to go see this Sisters Act because we got a letter from Benny Haynes. We're doing it for a pal in the army. Yada, yada, yada.
So were the Haynes sisters, like, were they like a hot commodity at this point in time? Or are they, like, up and coming? Like, what's their deal?
They're up and coming. They're up and coming.
You know what? They're just trying to make a splash.
Yeah, they're doing the rounds. They're hitting up, like, different nightclubs and different, like, hotels and inns that have acts performing and all that.
I guess there's, like, an undertone to this film that a lot of people seem to think that Bob and Phil were lovers, and they didn't want people to question their relationship, so they were, like, on the hunt for beards, and the Haynes sisters just happened to fill that role.
Not everything is coded. I just think they're two guys who...
I don't know.
Okay, let's look at Bob. Bob had a pretty decent career going into the army. He was already a known commodity in the entertainment world, right? So he's been working on that. Then he goes to the army, right? He gets out and he partners up with Phil and they become an even bigger success. This is a man who is driven by his career and hasn't met a woman that has made him stop until he meets Betty.
He, like, really didn't even like Betty, right?
If they were really looking for beards, they would have married the two ditzy dancers that they talked to at the start of the film. And there would be no movie. So
maybe Bob and Phil had, like, different ideas of what they wanted as a beard. I don't know.
No.
I'm just bringing up a...
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me because why would Bob go through all that BS with Betty if he just needed a beard?
I guess I see that point.
Like, if he just needed a beard, he could have married any one of those ditzy dancers that Phil tossed at him. I'm just saying that it just doesn't make sense to me that is even a theory. But what do I know?
Okay. I mean, you didn't live through it, so you weren't there. You weren't in the club scene with Bob and Phil back in the day.
Anyways.
Would you have been stans? Would you have been a Bob and Phil stan back in the day?
I don't know.
Like who's your go-to? Like who's your JT of the group, or whoever your favorite NSYNC member is? Is it JC Chazé? I feel like you're a J. I always forget like where you go, like where your allegiance lies in NSYNC.
I love me some JC. He was my wipeout on Emerald Cove, and I love MMC. There's a part of me that really loves Lance Bass.
All right. It's 1954. Cat Halstead lives in this world.
Okay.
You're like one of the concert goers or whatever. And you have a meet and greet. And it's like, it's going to pay $10. But you can only meet one of them or whatever. Like whatever we said, what was $10 in 1954? Like $1 or something. You can pay $1. You can either go meet Bob or Phil. You can meet Bing Crosby or Danny Kaye. Where do you go? Whose line do you stand in for $1?
Bing.
Bing? All right. So you're a Bob fan. Yeah, I see it. He was the more like interesting of the two, I think. He had presence. He had a stage presence to him that just kind of like lured you in. Like Danny Kaye, I'm just like, all right, it's that guy. It's okay. You know what? He's all right, I guess. He's kind of funny.
Yeah.
You know what?
But the real talent is Bob.
He's like the show horse.
Okay, so they go to this club, and because they got a letter from Freckle-Faced Haynes, the dog-faced boy.
Great name. Great nickname.
He was their mess sergeant in the war. But he's got two sisters, Betty and Judy, who are doing a nightclub act. And so they go to see it because they're like, at the very least, they can maybe like offer the girls some advice on like maybe call this guy and get in at this club or something,
Yeah, and they're expecting to see like freckled-faced dog boy or whatever, like in like lady form. Like they're not expecting to see these like two beautiful blonde girls.
They are expecting grown-up alfalfa in dresses.
And they literally like show up and like they're just like, is that them? Like
yes, because this it's the song Sisters.
Yeah, they're literally singing a song about sisters. So like I guess that's them.
They're in these gorgeous blue dresses and these big gigantic gorgeous feather fans.
Yeah, and they're in coordination with each other.
And they do this great song that very much is about their relationship. They were never such devoted sisters.
Yeah, you got like one's the chaperone, the other one's like sneaking out to go be with the boys kind of thing. The other one's like home early.
Which is exactly who they are.
Yeah, I mean, I heard those lyrics. I guess it was the general's last day of war lyrics. I just went over my head completely.
So they meet the sisters. We're in the dressing room right before the show, and the club owner is like, hey, Wallace and Davis are here to see you. And already, Betty's like, wait a minute, why would they come see us? And so she starts like quizzing Judy, and Judy's like, well, maybe Benny wrote them a letter. She's like, did you read Mom's letter that arrived this morning? She's like, no. Benny's been in Alaska, out of the country for the last 4 months.
Oh, yeah. Alaska's not a state yet, by the way.
It's not a state. It is a territory. It is technically part of the country, but he's,
He's there. Is he still, like, connected to the military? Like, do we know Benny's Dale?
We don't know. This is, like, we know, like, nothing about Benny, except, you don't see Benny except for in a picture.
Or is he, like, a whaler? What's he up to? I'd like to know.
I feel like this is what I think. I think he probably went up to Alaska to work in an oil field or something. Good money for a single guy.
Maybe pre-war Benny. Like maybe he was destined to be like an oil tycoon. Maybe he was kind of like an apprentice, and the tycoon that he apprenticed for was like, oh, I found some oil in Juneau, Alaska.
Or maybe he's the cook on an oil rig or something.
Oh yeah, he was a mess hall guy, right?
So then they perform their number, and then they change, and they go and they join the gentleman at the table, and they're talking and they're chit-chatting. Bob has got it for Betty. Like, he saw her thing, he's in love.
All right, so Betty is Rosemary Clooney, and Judy is Vera-Ellen, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just confused the two of them. Like
how? They don't look that much alike.
I don't know. I just like when one was on the screen, when they're on the screen together, I didn't know like who was who. But when they like were paired up with their respective suitors in the movie, I knew. But whenever they're together, I don't know which one is which.
How? Patrick?
I don't know.
You're not paying attention is the problem.
They just look exactly the same to me. They're like
they do not. Vera-Ellen is this very slim woman. Her hair was in a ponytail. She always had a turtleneck on. Rosemary Clooney was a little more curvy. She had the short kind of bobbed hair.
I'll have to watch it again, and I'll let you know. Can we talk about, like, the Florida sets, by the way?
Okay.
They're just very captivating to me for some reason. I don't know. We're obviously not in Florida. Like, we're obviously in, like, a Hollywood backlot somewhere. They do that thing where they just get, like, the night sky. It's just that, like, painted dark.
Gray. It's just, like, this gray background. Maybe a little, like, a purpley gray kind of thing going on.
Try to create, like, a nighttime look. And then, I don't know, we get, like, 4 or 5, like, fake palm trees. And then, like, a canal goes through, like, the backdrop. But it's not even, like, an ocean. It's, like, a canal of some sort.
Yeah.
I guess we're in some, like, outside scenes at some point. So, like, you know, sometimes it's like the club doesn't have a roof for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, the club doesn't have a roof.
Yeah, it's like an outside club.
This is the way I see it. It's kind of the club that's open if the weather's good.
There's not a hurricane coming in.
If the weather's bad, maybe there's like an indoor part.
Yeah.
It's Florida. It's warm, 75-80% of the year.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, are we like Key West area, Miami-ish? Like, I don't really know where in Florida.
We are on land. We're not in Key West.
Okay. I would say Miami. Maybe like outskirts of Miami.
Because, and I'm saying this because they get on the train.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
You gotta use your noggin, Patrick. Gotta use your noggin.
Yeah. Well, they do that thing, too, where, like, the name of the club they're at is, like, the Florida.
Yeah, like the...
It's just, like, a very simple name. Like, a part of me kind of wanted to see those, like, Art Deco Miami styles. Like, those mid-century...
It's a fictional world, Patrick. Just because that's what you wanted to see doesn't mean you get to see it.
I know, but I was, like, kind of hoping for that, though. Like, I kind of wanted to see a place that maybe, like, Sonny and Tubbs would, like, stumble into one day. Like, that'd be, like, a fun little, like, throwback in an episode of Miami Vice.
No, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Like, you know, episode 7 of Miami Vice, it's like, hey, this is where White Christmas took place. I don't know, that'd be, like, a fun little throwback, but no, we don't get it. Instead, we just get, like, nondescript Florida. The dream vision of Florida, because I feel like I've been to Florida numerous times, and it doesn't look like that.
Not 1954.
Yeah, but I've never been to, like, an outside song and dance club with a canal in the background and, like, 4 palm trees and a purple sky.
Find me a nightclub that you can still see, like, a song and dance.
In COVID America, or, like, 2 years from now when everything settles down?
When everything settles down. And we can, like, leave our houses again.
All right, I'll find you one.
Like, you're not going to a club to see Ricky Ricardo. Where are those clubs?
You know what? I feel like you can go see a Ricky Ricardo, like, club somewhere in Miami Beach. I feel like it's passable. There's still a lot of, like, old-timey culture going on down there.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll find you a show.
Okay. There's some flirting going on. Phil and Judy go off, and they start talking, because they both want to leave, like, Bob and Betty alone to, like, flirt and get to know each other. And we get this dance between Danny Kaye and Vera-Ellen. What happens when you're dancing? It's the only time Danny Kaye really dances in this whole movie. And he trips Vera-Ellen.
They're dancing, like, along the water on that one, right? Along that aforementioned canal?
Yes. It's basically, like, the kind of thing we see on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, it's one of those ballroom gown style dances.
Mm-hmm.
I hold on. You know what? When I was watching this, Phil and I guess Judy. It's part of Judy's plot too. It's very like the kids of divorce trying to set up the divorced parents, like, on a date, like a Parent Trap scenario or something,
or like a good chunk of Hallmark movies. Let's try to get these two together.
And it's like it's not working clearly, and it's just like it's like oil and water at first. So, like, Bob always says the wrong thing, Betty says the wrong thing. They just don't get along.
They get along. It's just that they are both very career focused.
So, does Judy, like, really want this career thing to go too, or is she kind of like Phil like?
I think she wants it, but at the same time, she wants room to breathe.
Okay.
Betty's kind of in control, like Bob is kind of in control. It's always go, go, go. It's never, can we stop for 5 seconds and take a breath?
Yeah, can we take the summer off maybe, and, I don't know, get some R&R?
Do we have to work for Christmas? Can't we just, like, go home, see Mom, maybe be there when Benny makes a phone call home for the first time in 6 months?
Like, can't just call, like, you gotta, like, plan it. He's gotta send a telegram, like, I'll call at 6 p.m. Eastern time, or wherever they live.
Exactly. It's not gonna be like, oh, he just happens to call. It's, like, planned that he's gonna call this time, this day, Bada bing, bada boom.
Well, because they got to like set it up because it's got like from operator to operator to operator, like across Alaska to wherever. It's like a whole thing. They can't just like, it's not like you can just pick up the phone and text and be like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm in Juneau, Alaska."
Judy wants her sister to find somebody because she feels like she's not going to be allowed to find love until her sister does.
Which is kind of weird, like mindset if you think about it.
Well, okay, it's also because Betty is supposed to be the older sister, and it's very much like older sister first, then younger sister. And it can still be that way if you ever read the Am I the Asshole threads on Reddit. Like, am I the asshole for getting married before my older sister? And now they're calling my sister an old maid. She's 23. I'm 21.
My sister wants to focus on her career, and they think there's something wrong with her. I met my sweetheart in college, and now I'm dropping out. Am I the asshole?
Exactly.
What do you always call it? Like the BS in, like, when you go to college to, like, find a husband?
The MRS.
What's it stand for again?
Mrs.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
I actually went to college with a girl who, that was, like, her goal. Actually, a couple girls. That was their goal for going to college, was to find a husband.
That was a thing in, like, the year 2000. The year 2000.
Still a thing. There was, like, this one girl who was, like, I wasn't friends with her. Apparently, I had a class with her. I don't remember her, because, like, I probably never interacted with her. But, she later dated one of my friends, and, like, oh, thank God he got out, because she was definitely after the MRS.
Did she, like, try in high school, but she just, like, couldn't nail it, and I was like, all right, there's always college.
Like, she probably wasn't allowed to date until college.
Or like, people just thought she was annoying, and she's like, all right, now, like, you know what, I got 4 years left. I got 4 years left, and that...
Better lock this dude down.
Then I'm going to be a spinster at the age of 22.
Like, they dated for over a year, I believe.
And then he's like, I'm out.
And then they, like, broke up, and he became a little more normal.
I don't know why, but I feel bad for him in this scenario.
It's okay, don't feel too bad. At least he didn't lose his virginity to her. To be fair, she was also part of the cult that I've told you about.
All right. Oh, okay. Ooh.
So that tape.
All right. Well, you know what? When you don't get your MRS by senior year of college, and there's always like local cults to sign up for. You could be a mole woman.
Yeah.
You can join Wilson from Home Improvement's underground cult. It's underneath the suburbs of Detroit.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Call back to a previous episode.
But
nothing to do with White Christmas. So we live in a holy time right now. It's 1954. The world is pure.
The girls are about to perform another number.
Yep, their follow-up.
But as they're getting ready, the manager of the nightclub is like, your landlord is here. He says you did this and this to the room. They're like, what? We didn't do anything. You burned a hole. They didn't do a jack shit to this room. And it's like apparently like an old scam.
So they live in Florida?
No, they like rented a room while they were there.
Oh, okay.
Did you think they were just sleeping at the nightclub? Patrick, you did. You thought they were sleeping in the nightclub.
I thought this might have been their like home base. Like, like this is like their main...
No.
They're here every Saturday night?
No, I bet that they consider home base their parents' home.
Where are they from? Are they Midwestern girls? So they like...
They don't say.
Like the sisters from A League of Their Own. They live on the farm, maybe. They do all the chores. They're like the little farm hands.
Mm-hmm.
They milk the cows. I don't know. Betty just kind of was good at singing and dancing, or was it the other way around? Who's the older one? Betty? Betty's the older one, we established?
Betty is the older one.
All right.
Judy is the younger one. Betty can sing. She can dance a little bit. Rosemary Clooney was definitely not, known as a dancer. Vera-Ellen was a dancer who wasn't really known as a singer.
Yes, and singer, actress Trudy Stevens is the uncredited singer for all the Vera-Ellen's performances in this movie. Do not confuse it with that crazy urban legend that went around for many years that said it was just Rosemary Clooney, dubbed over herself, dubbed over, twice. She was duetting with herself. No.
So the landlord's trying to scam him out of money, because apparently, the way it sounded was this is kind of a scam, scummy landlords try to pull whenever they can to try and get extra money out of people.
He's like the Lionel Hutz of this town.
Bob and Phil try to come up with some plan to get the girls out. They're supposed to leave the next day anyways because they're going to Vermont. While Bob is trying to just talk to the dude, Phil gives the girls his and Bob's train tickets for New York, which has a sleeping car because it's an overnight train ride. Then he and Bob pull up their pants, roll their pants up, roll their arms up, and like put little combs in their hair and grab the fan. And there's like a vinyl recording of the girls singing the song Sisters. So the guys go out and perform it because like the manager's like, well, you know what? If you want them, you gotta wait till they finish performing because they still owe me a performance.
And this infamous Sisters performance of the guys dressed up as the gals, it was actually not originally in the script. It was just like them like messing around on the set one day and they filmed it.
Yeah.
Like everyone laughed. Everyone was like, oh my God, we have to find a way to put this in the movie. And they just kind of like wrote it into the storyline. And
their cracking up is real. Like this was these were like the best takes they could do because Bing and Danny kept laughing.
You know what? It was a good catalyst to like spring forward the story too. Like kind of like launched the story forward. So it was good. You know what? Shout out to them for thinking about that. Just throwing on the dress one day and be like, haha, we're going to be ladies.
The girls get to the train, they get into the sleeping car, and then Phil and Bob chase the train to get it down because Phil hasn't told Bob that what he did was giving away the tickets. Like they had gone into the girls' dressing room and flagged a cab from the window because cabs drive through the back all the time, apparently, because the girls got one through the window too. So the guys get on the train and Bob and Phil can't find the tickets because Phil gave them away, but he's like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And the only way to like stay on the train is to sit up all night in the dining car.
Oh, poor guys. They just stay up all night.
And Bob is like, what happened to our tickets? Like, he sees the room they were supposed to be in, and the door opens for a second. He gets a glimpse of the girls, but not enough for it to like click right away. And then it like kind of clicks, and he's like, dude, why are you doing this to me? Like, Phil, why are you trying to drive me crazy? I just wanted to sleep through this train ride. Let the motion of the locomotive nod me off. Like, come on, man. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me?
Poor guy. You know what? They're gonna get back to the Northeast, and they probably had a show the next day or something.
No, they were done with the show. They were taking a vacation from the show.
Oh, okay.
They were going to do like a performance on like the Ed Harrison show or something, and that was it.
Like the fake Ed Sullivan show?
Like the girls were in their pajamas, but they got dressed and came out to the dining car, joined the guys and say, we are so grateful you guys gave us those tickets, yada, yada, yada. We're going to go to Vermont and perform at this inn. And Phil has been trying to drop hints that they should go to Vermont since he found out that's where the girls are going to be next. And Bob's like, really? Vermont. Like, Bob sees what Phil is doing. Bob knows. He's like, it's so obvious because Phil's been doing this kind of thing for years. He's never had a real chance of succeeding, though, until now.
Is this where we start to get that whole, like, romanticizing of Vermont? It's like, oh, they're like...
Yes, this is where they start romanticizing Vermont.
Ugh.
Vermont's going to be covered in snow, and it's going to be gorgeous, and they're going to go skiing and ice skating, and it's going to be, like, just beautiful and picture perfect.
Can I just tell you how much the lyrics to the snow song just irks the hell out of me? Like, I hear the lyrics to this, and I just, like, shudder. It's like, it won't be long before we're all there with snow. I want to wash my hands, my face, and hair with snow. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you are not. The girls must have never seen snow in their life, ever, because... they're like they just think they're just gonna like run in the snow and just dance around in it with no like mittens on and just like wash their hair. I'm like, no, you're gonna be cold as fuck. It's gonna be like negative 20 degrees outside. You're not even gonna be able to open the door or roll down a window.
People who romanticize Colorado, they always think Colorado is just this gorgeous, snowy snow globe village. Like, no matter what part of the state you're in. And that's just not it.
And the same thing with Vermont. And they're even thinking, like, you know what? They're going to be on this, like, horse-drawn carriage, just like it's like Christmas in Connecticut, kind of like going through the countryside.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, 5 inches of snow. No, it's, like, multiple inches of snow up to your waist, and you're cold and you're wet, and your nose is red, and your hands are cold, and you know what? Your mittens are wet, and they've soaked through. Your fingers are about to fall off, and, ugh. Like, but she's like, oh, it's going to be so amazing when we get there. And then they get there and they get off the train and it's just like dead leaves everywhere.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's brown.
It's like 68 degrees out.
It's all brown outside.
There's no snow.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
as someone who lived in New England and like grew up in New England, like it's not snowing like all winter long. Like there are days.
It really is.
Yeah, there's days there where it might be warm. Like, you know, it might be like 68 degrees, like mysteriously. You don't know why. Like global warming, what? Heat snap goes through. Like
you and I have talked about this, like it was freaking September, and we had a snowstorm here in Colorado.
Yeah, what the fuck, you guys? Like, what's going on?
And then, like, 2 days later, it was, like, 70, 80 degrees.
Yeah.
You know? Like, today, it is mid-November while we're recording this, and it's 61 degrees outside right now. Bright and sunny. I can see the sunshine outside.
So, in their world, it's, like, mid-December. It's, like, leading up to Christmas in their world, right? Like, tis the season.
Yeah.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, I would say I'd say they're probably about a week and a half from Christmas.
Okay, all right.
Is my best estimate. A week to a week and a half before Christmas.
How long were they going up there for?
Okay, so the girls are going up there for like...
a Christmas show?
It sounds like a few weeks to perform. And the guys are up there to hang out until they have to get back to work, because they were going to be on vacation anyways. Really, except for like one performance in New York.
All right, so I'm guessing the guys don't have parents or siblings or like other relatives to go visit around the season.
Yes, apparently not.
And the girls are working, so obviously they wrote a letter home and like, sorry, Mom, we can't make it home this year.
We got booked to perform at this inn in Vermont for Christmas. It's gonna be gorgeous, and
send Benny our love.
Yeah.
But you know, the mom and dad are probably, they're like elderly. They're probably 55 years old and gray, and are like, oh, look at them, they're finally gonna make it. And they're probably writing about these like cute guys they met, these cute suitors, and they're like, oh, like,
no, probably not. I feel like the girls probably didn't write home about the guys until it was like serious.
And by serious, I mean they got asked out on an official date and then they're married the next day.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's serious.
So they go to the inn, and the set used for the inn is the same set used in Holiday Inn.
Yes.
For the Holiday Inn. You know, different angles of the set and whatnot.
Yeah, they dressed it differently, maybe like changed something here and there. Well,
maybe gave it some color.
I was gonna say, because Holiday Inn's a black and white movie,
yeah,
and they use that like grayscale. So like they actually like paint. They like, ooh, we get to actually paint the set.
Ooh, let's give it a little color somewhere. And there wasn't really that much color though.
I mean, it looked like it could have been a real inn.
Yes, it really did. Like, oh, if I could go to an inn, that would be it. It's got the big skier fireplace, you know, where everyone can gather around.
Well, if only they got to go to the Newhart Inn. That would have just made this all better.
This is what the Newhart Inn should have been.
Yeah, you know what? Like I like picture like the first episode of Newhart, and he's like, yeah, they use this. This is where the Wallace and Davis performed with the Haynes sisters back in the day.
The girls are checking in because they're like, oh, well, no, we're your musical act. And Emma, the housekeeper, is like, well, we're canceling you. There's no guests, there's no snow, we don't need a musical act. And the girls are like dejected, and the guys are like, well, what's going on? What's happening? And she's like, we just don't have snow. No snow, no guests. She's like, you guys, you know, we're sorry we didn't cancel you sooner, yada, yada, yada. And in comes the general, who is now an innkeeper. And
yeah, he retired.
Bob sees him drops his suitcase and like immediately salutes. And he's like, sir. And he's like, well, there's not very much general saluting going on around here.
This whole part of the movie just kind of like, it takes a weird turn for me. I'm just like I still feel like people would go to Vermont even though it didn't snow. Like, I feel like there's other stuff to do there, not just look at snow.
I know.
Maybe they like, if it's a mild year, maybe you can like, I don't know, maybe like go to like a little like garden or something.
Okay, this is the way I picture. This is what I'm thinking, is that this time of year, this week, if there's no snow and no skiing, you don't have any of like the little extra pickup, because people maybe aren't going away this week because Christmas is the next week.
Yeah, and like, are people gonna go away for Christmas? Like, let's go to Vermont for Christmas. Like a random inn in Vermont.
Some people do.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the way we think of it now. I don't know what it was like in the 50s or earlier. I don't know if maybe it was more of like a travel time, like, hey, let's go away. Let's go to this quaint little inn. And
we don't know, but this is what I'm saying, is there are people who would go away for Christmas. They would go and spend the holiday skiing or something, you know? Probably not your average American family, but there were still families that did it.
Or maybe like older couples, like
Or yeah, older couples whose kids are all out of the house and don't get to come back for the holidays, or the young kids who maybe instead of going home, they're gonna hit up the ski resort.
Yeah, with their college bros.
Yeah, you know, like the Cindy Brady types. They want to go skiing instead of go home.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I've been home every year. Like, I'm just gonna hang out this weekend.
Nobody asked me. They just told me to come home.
Yeah. Ugh.
Okay, Gwendolyn Pierce, Cindy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see like someone being like they look at the Vermont Inn itinerary and it's like, oh, like it's right next to a ski slope. Maybe there's like a fun little restaurant, and then it's like, and then they have a show every night, and it's like, oh, let's go see what we can.
Yeah, so I think you're overthinking it.
I guess so. I don't know. Like, I just still
you're overthinking it.
I just think it was like wild to me that it's like, well, we have to cancel everything. No one's coming. It didn't snow, but like, what was meteorology like then? Like, did they know? Like, it?
We don't know. I don't know. Probably not as like. Nowhere near as good as it is now, and even now it's not that great.
Yeah, like, and like, it could change, it could snow tomorrow. And it's like, you know what, like, December is still pretty early in the season of, like, winter.
And they didn't have snow machines yet.
I don't know.
Snow machines were invented in, like, 1952. They weren't widely used until 1970.
Yeah, and this little, like, mom-and-poppy type inn in Vermont probably wouldn't afford it.
Yeah, you're overthinking it. You are so overthinking this.
I don't know. It might be jumping ahead a little bit, but like then this like misunderstanding comes up.
You are jumping ahead. I can tell you're jumping ahead.
So when does like the misunderstanding come into play?
Okay. First, they realize the general's there. The general's like, we're not canceling the Haynes sisters. At the very least, they're performing for us. Okay, so like we cut to the girls performing like their sister's song, and there's more than the general, Bob and Phil and Emma and the granddaughter in the audience.
Yeah, I feel like people live there. Like
there's people that are definitely there. At the very least, people go to the inn for dinner.
Yeah, they go have a good meal, see a good show.
It's like their anniversary dinner. They're going to the Pine Tree Inn.
Yeah, hang out with Miss Cathcart or whatever her name is in the movie. Emma.
Yeah. Okay.
Get the local gossip from Emma.
You know, the guys are like, you know, we wish there was something we could do. And they're like, oh my God, you know what we could do? At the very least, we could put a show here on Christmas Eve. You know, we can call in our company, see who's available, who's not going to stay on vacation. And Phil's like, ooh, how much is that going to cost? And, you know, they put in this call to get all their cast and crew out there. And it's going to cost a bit. It's going to cost a pretty penny. They never say exactly how much, but it's enough to make Phil a little weak in the knees. But they think it's worth it because if they can maybe do something that will draw people into the inn, it's worth it.
So I'm guessing the inn will close down like this year if they don't have a good holiday season.
No, it's not that. It's just that there's nobody there.
I don't know, because I was getting like, all of a sudden it turns into like a Save the Max scenario.
Oh my gosh. The inn is probably struggling. It's like in a small town, you know, if they don't have people coming in to go ski.
I mean, have you been to Vermont?
There's no business.
Like the capital of Vermont is like, it's like barely a city. So like I can't even imagine what town this was.
I applied for college in Vermont though.
You said that in the Newhart episode, the last Newhart episode we did. Because I think I said, have you been to Vermont?
And I'm like, no. I wanted to go to college there, but I didn't.
Because I think I asked you, like, how many people do you think are in, like, the Newhart town? And you were, like, 100. And I'm like, I don't even think it's that many. I'm like, have you been to Vermont?
No, it's probably about 100.
Like, we've met everyone on the show that lives in that town.
Anyways, baby lose my thought. Okay, so they call up and get, like, as many of their cast and crew as they can. The next day, the general, like, comes back from running into town to get, like, a turkey or whatever, you know?
The Christmas goose.
And, like, there's all these trucks and people unloading, like, dude, this must be a big fucking inn, though.
We don't really get, like, an outside shot of it, really.
So this is the way I picture it. Like, we have, like, the lodge house, which is where the general and Emma and his granddaughter live, and it's where, like, the large fireplace is, the reception desk, the dining room, plus the theater. And then I think the way I understand it is there's a bunch of, like, little houses.
So it's like a neighborhood of rentals?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like the little thing where it's like the little cabin type things. Except they're not cabins, they're little houses because they got the, like, panel siding or whatever. You know, because later on when we see Betty go out from her and Judy's room, we see Phil in the window of his room, and it's like a little house on the side. So I think it's like little houses that are just like a bedroom and a bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I didn't really think about the layout of the place, to be honest with you. Like, at first I kind of thought of like a big inn, like, I don't know, like the inn from The Shining, but then I was like, no, it ain't that big.
They bring them in, and the general's all like, what is all this? And Bob's like, oh, we realized you have all this space. It's perfect for us to work on some new stuff with the cast. Freshen up the act a little bit, workshop it. What do you say? And the general's like, okay. But there's people here.
Well, he had no choice. It's like they're here.
So all these people are here. The inn is bustling with life.
Yeah, I feel like there's like reporters are coming into town and stuff too. They're getting like buzz of it.
They're putting together the show, and they're like incorporating the Haynes sisters into the show, and Bob and Betty are getting more flirty, and Phil and Judy are like, yes, it's gotta work. It's gotta work. One night Betty can't sleep. So she gets out of her room. She's like in her pajamas, and she throws on a robe and then a coat and goes across to the lodge. And there's Bob, and he's got like a giant plate of liverwurst sandwiches and buttermilk.
Like the things people eat in like old movies and TV shows is disgusting. Like I was watching a Dennis the Menace where he wanted a bologna sandwich, and I was like, ugh, that's fucking gross.
Like I can at least understand bologna.
Ugh, bologna's disgusting.
Liverwurst.
They're both of them. No.
Ugh.
No.
Like, I just remember as a kid, my grandfather ate liverwurst, and it was just always so like, oh, God, just no. No, this is not something we should be eating. Why did I look this up? But yeah, fun fact, Bing Crosby is the one who made the liverwurst sandwiches.
Was he a fan of liverwurst? Like a big liverwurst stand?
Apparently. And buttermilk. But then we get probably one of my favorite numbers of the whole movie, Count Your Blessings, where he and Betty are talking and they can't sleep, and he's like, well, you know what you should do? Instead of counting sheep, you should count your blessings.
I think I might have like tuned out that one for some reason.
You'll fall asleep counting your blessings. And how it would be better to count your blessings.
Like, I think there's only like 3 songs in this whole thing that I might actually enjoy.
Okay, the next day, the guys get an even better idea. They should find a way to get as many members of their army company, division, whatever, to Vermont on Christmas Eve for the general.
I thought just the idea of bringing in all the old troops was a batshit insane idea. Like, you know what?
The only possible way for them to do this, for Bob to go to New York and go on the Ed Harrison show and make the plea to anybody who is in Division 151 during this time to, if they can, come to Vermont on Christmas Eve for this special performance.
All right, so how many people do you think are in Division 151? Like, do we have a rough estimate?
Usually commanded by a major general, divisions are made up of 3 or 4 brigades and include 10,000 to 15,000 soldiers.
I don't know how many people. I don't know, like, the ratings of the Ed Harrison show. I don't know, like, if it's, like, the hottest show in town, like, if it's what everyone watches. If even 200 people saw this episode of the Ed Harrison show, like, how many people do you think are going to come?
I mean,
like, would have the means to get there? Like,
I would say a good 100 of them showed up. Yeah. But, okay, so put it like this. Say maybe 200 saw it, but those 200 are still in contact with like 2 or 3 guys from the division, and they called them, and they're like, hey, did you see Ed Harrison tonight? Oh, no, I didn't. Why? Oh, Bob Wallace was on, and he said that this is happening. We should go up to Vermont on Christmas Eve. Betty and I can't, but maybe you and June can, because you don't have the kids yet. You don't have kids yet. And even that didn't stop people. People brought their kids. There were families there.
Yeah, and I'm just, like, it just blows my mind. Like,
but unfortunately, Emma was listening in on part of the call and heard the part where Ed Harrison was like, oh yeah, we could totally use this to like promote you and Phil. And she hung up like right then, not hearing Bob say, no, I don't want any free promo. I want to do this for the general, yada, yada, yada. Because I guess Ed Harrison was also in the division with them.
Which just is this new break in development in the movie.
So, Emma unfortunately tells Betty. Betty gets like disgusted and decides to run off to New York to perform at the Carousel Club alone because she got an offer to perform alone.
Like, this whole portion of the movie could have just been, like, avoided if an extra sentence was just her, like, that's it. Like, one sentence.
Oh, yes. Also part of the reason she runs away is that Betty's all sour, and now Bob's in a bad mood because he doesn't know why she's, like, all sour. They're at this party that the general is hosting for all the crew, and everybody has, like, a thank you. And Phil and Judy decide it's time to go nuclear. They gotta, like, up the ante.
They go nuclear. I love that you just said that. They dropped the bomb. They dropped the bomb.
Listen, they have to go medieval on their ass.
Oh, I love it.
So they decide to announce that they're engaged. So they think this is going to push Bob and Betty together. Unfortunately, it's part of why Betty leaves, because she thinks Judy doesn't need her anymore because Phil's going to be there to take care of her. So she can go off and have a solo career.
this whole story is just it's crazy. Like, this is...
Yeah, so Betty runs off to New York.
It's like, oh, you're getting married? All right, we can't be a traveling sister duo anymore, I guess. Even though your husband is a singer, why don't we just be a trio now? Like, why don't we just form a band?
The next day, after it's found out that Betty has left, Judy and Phil confess everything to Bob. Bob, because Emma's there, of course, he clears up the whole little confusion that Emma had about the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, no, I told him we weren't going to do that. It's just for the general, yada, yada, you know? And then Emma's like, oh, I feel so stupid. Well, that's what you get for being a busybody.
I feel like this isn't Emma's first, like, accidental mix-up. I feel like this is par for the course for her. This is something that probably happens to her,
yeah,
if not on like a weekly basis, on like a monthly basis at the end. I'm sure she like...
Oh, please. This woman's probably out there steaming open envelopes and stuff.
Yeah, like holding the envelope over the like the tea kettle, reading like, I don't know, bank statements and stuff. And who's writing the general today? I need to know who's writing the general.
So Bob's like, I'm gonna fix this. You guys screwed it up. But I gotta go to New York to do this Ed Harrison thing anyways. He's like, can I trust you guys to just keep the general away from the damn TV for like 15 minutes? But the thing is, the general loves the Ed Harrison show. It's like they bring the TV out from the closet, plug it in, get it set up.
Oh yeah, they roll it out.
It's definitely not like permanently set up. It's the kind of thing that comes out like once a week to watch like the one show they watch.
The Ed Harrison show.
Yeah, like the granddaughter's definitely not out there like watching something every afternoon after school or anything.
You know what? She probably watches like Howdy Doody, and then they roll the TV set back in, and Ed Harrison's probably on at like 10 o'clock, right? It's like a late night show, I'm guessing.
I'm thinking it's more like an 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it might be. I don't know. I'm thinking of like...
You're thinking in the terms of like Johnny Carson and Conan O'Brien. Remember, this is in terms of Ed Sullivan.
Okay, yeah. They had the Beatles on. Like, they don't have the Beatles on at 11:30 at night.
Bob goes to New York. Betty is at the Carousel Club. She's got a new song she's going to perform. Love, You Didn't Do Right By Me. It's sultry, it's sexy, it's heartbreaking. Because she's like heartbroken over like thinking she could love this man Bob, and all he is a money grubbing bastard. So she does the song. It's one of my I love this song. I love this performance. I love her tight black dress that just like where her boobs are just like up and as out as they're gonna be. Like, oh, Rosemary looks so good.
It's like Betty the sexy years.
Yeah, it's more of like a sexy, like it's very form fitting, more of the kind of thing Judy would have worn. So Bob is there, he sees it, and then he, like, gets her to talk to him. He's like, yeah, so, this is what happened. Phil and Judy are not really engaged. They were trying to get us together. Silly, crazy idea, right? Is it a crazy idea? He's like, well, listen, just do me a favor. Will you just watch the Ed Harrison show tonight at, like, 9:02 or what, like, whatever time. Like, he knows exactly what time he's going to be on. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, I don't know. I gotta go. You know, she's just uncomfortable. The whole thing is sketchy. So he goes to do the show and he makes the plea, and she realizes he's not in it for the free publicity. He's in it to do something nice for the general. So she has a change of heart, and she like gets out of her contract at the Carousel Club. Makes her way back to Vermont just in time for the Christmas Eve performance. But it's okay because she's hidden in the crowd because there's a shit ton of people coming in. I do think there's probably some people who are like, Wallace and Davis are going to be at this inn. We're going.
Yeah, everyone's like, you know what? It's Christmas Eve. We just had our Christmas goose. We're going to head down to the local inn. We're going to watch Wallace and Davis. We just saw them on the Ed Harrison show last night. Mm-hmm. Big show tonight. You know what? It's only a short drive. It's a short drive down the road, down the country back road, and here we are. And I don't know, there's like a line to get in the inn. It's on TV too, right? Like, isn't it?
Ed Harrison wanted to air it on TV. They said no because they think that would be exploiting the situation, and they didn't want to do it.
I'm guessing Bob went on the Ed Harrison show on like the 23rd of December, or is this like still like leading up to it?
I'm going to guess, okay, let's say he went on the 21st, 20th, somewhere. He's close enough that maybe people can like finagle some stuff and be like, you know, we're going to go do this for my old general.
Maybe we can get someone to watch, maybe Grandma can watch Joey for the weekend.
You know, we just want to go do this. We will come back on Christmas Day and be home in time for the ham or whatever.
Yeah, sorry kids, Christmas is gonna be on the late 25th this year.
Well, a lot of people brought their kids with them. You keep ignoring that fact. Some of them might have just been in for the night and then drove home because, you know.
Maybe they got like a couple people that lived in like Maine or like New Hampshire that were like close by, kind of.
Yeah, there's probably like people close by. They were like, if you're close enough and you're up to it, you know, if you could do this, this would be wonderful kind of thing, you know? I
just feel bad for like the kid that came from like, I don't know, like Milwaukee, and he like really wanted to open up like his new blocks to play with, and he's like, he can't.
There's probably not a kid who came from Milwaukee, though.
I don't know. There's got to be a kid from somewhere that was missing his blocks.
So, it's Christmas Eve. They're doing the show, and Bob has no clue that Betty is back. Everybody else seems to know, except for the general. The general doesn't know what's going on. He thinks they're just doing like a show, and it'll be a fun little thing, and maybe they'll get a few visitors to the inn or whatever. He doesn't seem to notice that his whole inn is being inundated with visitors all of a sudden.
How do you not notice that?
He's just mad because Emma sent all his suits to the cleaners, so all he has to wear is his army uniform. He's like, what the hell? What the hell, guys?
Like, all right, so it's 10 years after the war and he still fits into this thing?
Some just have, like, that kind of metabolism.
Good for him, I guess. I mean, good for him if that's the case. I mean, everyone came in with, like, their, like, uniforms on. I'm, like, really surprised. Like,
there's definitely a moment where I think it's Bob is talking to one of the guys, like, oh, look at how much weight you gained, dude. Because you couldn't get his stuff closed.
Maybe got to, like, tailor it over the years. Like, maybe, like, every year he just, like, put it on, loosen it up a bit, and maybe he'll get it retailored.
Not everybody got super fat after the army.
I guess most of them are younger guys, right? Like, and so they're probably like in their 30s now, so they're not like, it's not like they're super old and super fat now.
Like, the general is very, like, a slim. He probably has a very decent metabolism, and he's kept the same body type throughout his life.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the only, like, thing they did to, like, age him was just, like, color his hair white.
Exactly.
And that might have even been his real hair. I don't even know, to be honest with you, because he was wearing, like a hat in, like, the first part of the movie, so I didn't really notice his hair, but...
And the general's kind of cranky, because he doesn't really want to wear his army uniform, because he's still cranky about the other day. Being, like, told, nope, sorry, the army doesn't need you, stay retired.
Yeah, like, you're too old. Like, I'm surprised he didn't just, like, throw it in the fire, you know? Like, like, fuck them.
So he comes down, and, you know, they walk in, and then he sees, like, this giant cake that says the 151st Division, and all these old soldiers in their uniforms, and everybody's clapping for him. It's such a sweet moment. Then we get the, we'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go number. This is what I meant earlier. This is the number I meant earlier. Like, this is what they sang in World War II on Christmas Eve to him. We'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go, wherever he's gonna be. And then this one starts off with Bing going, are you gonna do with the general who stops being a general? Yada yada. And then it falls into We'll follow the old man with, like, all the division members, like, standing up and coming out from behind the curtain and whatnot. And then he blows out the candles on the cake.
Do you think they had enough cake for everybody?
Yeah, that was like a 4 or 5 tier cake. Like, they put in big taper candles, too.
So all 150 members of the 151 division, plus the staff and the rando kids that were around, they all got like a little sliver of cake.
Yeah, they all got some cake.
Because I mean, I'd be really worried if they didn't. Because I don't know what I don't know. Like, they thought about food prep this evening. Like,
I mean,
I don't know. The kitchen had to do extra duty because there's like hundreds of people there now.
I feel like they probably had more cake in the back. if that cake wasn't enough.
Like they had a standby, like just in case?
Yeah, they had some sheet cakes or whatever.
Okay.
There was enough cake to go around.
Do you think they had any hors d'oeuvres? Like any little like things to snack on? Like while they're waiting?
I think there was food, we just didn't get to see it.
Okay. I just like, because I don't know how many people work at this inn, so I'm just thinking of this like poor chef. Like I just envision like one or two guys. Like, there's like the head chef and then maybe like 2 or 3 line cooks.
Yep.
And normally they can handle the business flow, like the restaurant flow, but I don't know, this night, I don't know, like hundreds of people show up out of the blue. They're like, they weren't even expecting it, just whipping up everything they could, going frantically in the kitchen, like running down to the local like general store, getting some oats and stuff.
I'm sure the food prep was put, because Emma eventually knew what was coming. You're telling me Emma didn't have shit? Emma was prepared. Emma might be a busybody, but she's a prepared busybody.
You think she was out there like peeling potatoes with them, helping them out, giving them a hand, giving the boys a hand?
They were peeling up the potatoes. They were cooking up some rice.
They go running down to the general store, getting that big sack of rice, that big sack of white rice, and just, I don't know, those giant pots. Maybe they're like cooking out back too. Maybe they started a little like campfire out back and cooking over like a witch's kettle.
Well, Phil and Judy at one point were roasting hot dogs over the fireplace.
That is true. Okay. Oh, maybe they went down and got some hot diggity dogs and served them up, got some buns. The local like flour mill was excited because all that buns they got to make this weekend.
So then they move on to another song.
Is this the big number?
No, not that one.
Oh, they just played so many songs. It just went on forever. As I said, this movie could have been shaved off like an hour.
We didn't even talk about the songs that I said they could cut. They could cut the minstrel show number. Way easy. They could cut the choreography number, and they could cut the dance number that between Judy and her dance partner, like when they find out Betty's left. Like they could cut all 3 of those and you'd lose like 30 minutes of this movie and you wouldn't be missing anything.
I still think they could have cut out maybe even like some of the Emma drama could have even like been cut out and we could have just found another way for Betty to leave.
No, you need the Emma drama for Betty to leave.
I feel like you didn't even need the Betty drama though. Like I don't know. It was one of those there's like certain storylines that like stress me out in movies and TV shows. It's like whenever there's like a misunderstanding, but it goes on too long. And I was just like, they could just have easily wrapped this up.
You would never survive watching an actual Hallmark movie.
Oh, no, I can't even get through them because I'm just like, oh, like, didn't she know that, like the store closed early? She didn't have time to get the gingerbread house to make that night.
To be fair, in a Hallmark movie, the final misunderstanding comes at like the 20-minute mark because then they get that figured out. And they have their like nice little like, oh, it was always you moment.
All right, let's wrap this movie up. We're like 5 hours into a 2-hour movie.
Okay, we get the I wish I was back in the army number, and this is when Betty surprises Bob on stage. I guess they had somebody else who's gonna plug in for Betty.
Oh, like a fill-in, like I don't know, like the local songstress.
Yeah, because they had it was all set up for 2 couples.
Like Bob didn't even like question being like, hey, like, can I like see the audition process here? Like who's coming out for the final number? And they're like, oh, well, we'll surprise you.
I think they had somebody who was in their cast already who was going to do this. But when Betty came back, like they had an understudy who was going to do it. Betty came back, so Betty got to do it.
Oh, I feel bad for the understudy. This is probably like would have been her big break.
Probably.
She would have been a star.
They do the number. Bob like looks over and he's like, wait, what? And like he's got this smile on his face now. Like he's suddenly really happy because Betty's back. But he doesn't really know what it means until after the number. They're in their sequiny Christmas Santa outfits, which I have seen this movie like probably 45 times, maybe more. I honestly don't know. I never noticed that it had like sequins, snowflakes, and red sequins on it before, on their costumes before.
Well, now that you're wildly aware of what VistaVision is, you finally got to see the HD version of it, maybe.
I have it on DVD. I've watched it many times in high def.
Oh, maybe you have better TV now than you did last year.
Now we're getting ready for White Christmas, and they found out it's snowing outside. It's finally snowing. The fake snow in this movie is asbestos, though.
Yes. And then everyone, got horrible cancer like 20 years later after filming this movie.
But they've got like this beautiful Christmas tree on the set, and there's all kinds of presents. And Betty has slipped a special present into Bob's bag for him to find. And they're like putting presents on the tree and pretending to trim it. And he finds it and he goes behind the tree in the middle of this performance of White Christmas and unwraps it, and it's like this knight in shining armor on a horse figurine. He looks at Betty and she's like, uh-huh. And they smooch. And it looks really awkward. Not gonna lie. Looking at that, I'm kind of like, I don't think Bing Crosby was a good kisser.
You know what? He probably had pot breath.
Probably.
Smelled like a skunked weed, and poor Rosemary Clooney is like, ugh, like contact high. That's probably why she's giggling. That's why she's giggling on the set.
I will. Part of the reason I just don't smoke pot is because the awful smell.
Yeah, smells like a dead skunk that you ran over by accident. And then, like, your car smells like it for like a month after.
Because you purposely ran over a skunk another time and it didn't smell so bad?
I mean, it always does. And, like, you can't get that smell off your car. It's fucking hideous. It's awful.
Oh, I know. One of my poor doggy's scooter, he got sprayed by a skunk and my stepmom tried, like, every freaking remedy for, like, days to try and get rid of the skunk smell.
You just gotta wait it out. Like, unfortunately, that's what you gotta do.
Like, there was still, like, a slight, like, months later. So Phil and Judy see Bob and Betty smooching and he's like, is this happening? And they're like, yeah. And he looks at Judy and then he looks back at Bob. He's like, I think I'm going to join you. And he kisses Judy. So then, we get White Christmas and they come out in front of the tree and there's little ballerinas and they open the back of the back doors of the stage because this is also where, like, they store the horse carts. They stored a lot of horse carts back there. It's just this beautiful snowy scene, and it's beautiful. And then we get the end. These
beautiful cancer-causing agents just, like, flood in the movie studio.
Yeah.
Just flood in everybody. Everyone's got lung cancer from this movie. All the ambulance chasers right now are, like, they're, like, all contacting the people who are, like, associated with this movie and all their, like, offspring. Like, was your father on a White Christmas? Actually, yeah, he was. My dad was the, Army soldier number 47.
Yeah.
And he's like, did he bring that costume home? He's like, he did. And he shook it off in our, like, mudroom. And he's like, you could be entitled to $1 million.
I'm pretty sure the Hollywood studio kept those costumes. They didn't let people just go home in them.
I mean, but there was still, like, probably, like, asbestos in their hair and stuff. And maybe in their shoes. Who knows?
So, the movie ends and it's beautiful. And we are left to believe that Wallace and Davis and the Haynes sisters all lived happily ever after.
They lived a long...
Probably got a variety show on NBC.
They lived a long, plentiful life. They were still acting into the 90s.
Except for Bob, because he was dead in the 70s.
Well, Bing Crosby was. I didn't know about, like... I'm just talking about the characters.
Yeah.
They live forever. They're still alive today. They found the fountain of youth. They found, like, the death becomes their serum. And still kicking today. All right, I'm going to ask the age-old question. And that's the hot age-old question. On a scale of 1 out of 5 variety magazines, how many variety magazines would you give White Christmas 1954? Are we going to get a rare cat 5?
It's going to be a 5. I didn't even get to say it, and you just assumed.
All right, here's my score. I do like the sets. I think it's, like, aesthetically pleasing. It's easy on the eyes. I like the purple skies of Florida. I like the little canal that goes through the set, like perfectly flat water canal that goes through the set. I like the neon lights of the sign that says the Florida outside the outside club. I like the war sets. I like the war-torn Europe. I like the, I don't know. I like that fun little, like, sisters drag thing in the middle of the movie, or the beginning of the movie. I enjoyed, some of the movie. Some of the movie's okay. As I said, it just seemed like an hour too long to me, so I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna give White Christmas a 3.
What is wrong with you?
I thought it'd be more Christmassy. Like, I thought it'd be like the whole thing is Christmassy and it's fun and there's, I don't know, Santa Claus and stuff and elves and
no.
I don't know. Maybe I'm I thought I seen this movie, but I think I mixed it up with another, like maybe Holiday Inn. Is Holiday Inn like a little more Christmassy?
Well, okay, so with Holiday Inn, there are more scenes at Christmas.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
There's also scenes for Washington's birthday.
I just thought there was more Christmas to this movie, and I'm just like, this is like the least Christmassy movie with the word Christmas in the title.
I think it's how you interpret Christmas, though. Because if this movie isn't very Christmassy, then the next movie we're doing, the next topic of our podcast, is going to be super Christmassy.
It's going to be like a Christmas explosion next week. Like, that's what I was thinking of.
And it's actually the movie I watched after I watched this last night, because I was like, I might as well watch that.
So what are we doing next week? Because for a rare moment in time, you know what we're doing next week. So I feel like that you should indulge us with next week. And actually, before you say it, I want to let you know that I watched part of the third one the other day. I think it was the third one. Is there a third one?
There is a third one.
And that's the last one, right? It concludes the trilogy?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, we are doing the Tim Allen holiday classic, The Santa Claus.
Yes, this is the one where Tim Allen is like an everyday man, down on his luck, and what is it, like Santa Claus like falls like off his roof or something?
Dude, you haven't watched this movie for a while, have you?
It's been like the movie came out, I think, is the last time I saw it.
This is the one where Tim Allen is a divorced father. He is getting to spend Christmas Eve with his son, and Santa falls off their roof.
That's exactly what I said.
No, you said down on his luck.
Well, he was. I mean, he wasn't able to spend time with his son for a while.
That comes after he becomes Santa Claus, because Judge Reinhold thinks he's crazy and convinces the wife to like seek full custody. Because Judge Reinhold hasn't believed in Santa since he was 3 and didn't get an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle.
That's really weird. That's really weird to want. I feel like that's really easy to get.
To be fair, he was 3.
I mean, that's like a Cracker Jack box prize. Let's figure out.
Well, back in the day, before it was all stupid apps like it is now.
Not even a sticker. Like, it's not even a sticker. Like, at the very least, you can get a sticker or one of those, like, rub-on tattoos. All right. But we'll save all that for next week. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of Judge Reinhold's, like, trauma from his 3-year-old Christmas disaster. Mm-hmm. What it's like to be a divorced dad in 1994 and then suddenly find out you're Santa Claus after that and, like, I don't know, gain like 200 pounds overnight.
And of course, the ever classic Denny's Christmas Eve dinner.
Ooh, yeah. You know what? I'm kind of hungry for Denny's right now. Maybe I'll hit up Denny's.
Dude, we don't even have a Denny's here anymore.
Well, you have Dutch Brothers. I think I'd prefer a Dutch Brothers over a Denny's any day of the week. Unofficial friend of the show. All right. Where can you follow our adventures? You
can follow us on Twitter at Very Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at A Very Special Podcast. Do not accept invitations. You can find us on Patreon. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, Podcast Addict, pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. You have found us somehow. So click subscribe and continue to listen to our wild antics.
And as always, girl,
bye.
There's no Christmas in the Army.
No.
What? I said a line from the movie.